I recorded my first CD when I was 14, so this album is not technically my debut, but it does feel like it. It's my first CD as an adult. I wanted to name the album Heritage because these compositions are my musical roots. They are part of my identity both as a musician and as a person. Recording this program has been a dream of mine for many years, and I was thinking in what order I should put these pieces and decided to play them in an order which I would perform them also in a concert. So I thought it was a good idea to start with Ligeti's solo sonata, which first movement is a typical Hungarian folk song inspired movement. I worked on this piece with many musicians who knew Ligeti personally, such as with Mr. Eötvös, whose composition is also on the disc, the two poems to Polly. It's a very special piece which requires interesting technicalities. One of it is mentioned already in the title for a speaking cellist, so you have to recite and play the cello simultaneously.
When the tolling of the temple bell.
And the other one is that Mr. Eötvös requires us to play it on scordatura, which usually means that we have to tune down the lower register of the cello, but in this case we have to tune the G and the C string a half note higher. So I find the atmosphere of the piece very special because it's very spiritual and slow, but in the meantime very intense, partly, I believe, because the instrument becomes so tight. Collaborating with living composers is always a special experience. But in this case, I was not only fortunate enough to work with Mr. Eötvös, but he was also present when I was recording. So I really hope we could come to an ideal interpretation which suits both of us. I first met Marta and György Kurtág when I was asked to play Bach for them. After this first meeting with Mr. Kurtág, he gave me a copy of his new piece, the Hilary Jig, so that encouraged me to bring and play for him his own compositions. We had sessions often until late night, and it was very inspiring and very special. And today I'm very proud that the Hilary Jig is a world premiere recording found on this album. We are shooting in the study room of my grandfather. I spent many summers here. His piece, a solo suite for Cello and Cowbells, also a world premiere recording, was written for my father. It was a birthday gift for his 16th birthday, so I found it very inspiring that this composition is meant for such a young cellist. And it also represents in what kind of environment I grew up as a child. It came very natural to try out different techniques and play contemporary music. My favorite movement is perhaps the second movement with the cowbells. I just love its humor. The first and third movement are very challenging because of the microtonality, and in the third movement you also have to sing simultaneously. The fourth movement is inspired by Chango folk music, and I think it's quite impressive how he manages to combine those folk elements, imitating instruments such as the ütőgardon, with a completely independent melody, which you also have to sing, composed by a 12-tone composition technique. And the CD is closing with Kodály's Monumental solo sonata. I think everyone who ever played this piece would agree with me that it's like climbing a Mount Everest all by yourself. So it's quite a challenge still today. Although I have been growing up with this piece. Really, I started to learn it when I was 15. I worked on it with János Tarker, with my old teacher László Mező. They all knew Kodály personally. And my grandfather was a student of Kodály pupils. Kodály's wife knows me since I was a small child. So you see, there are many personal and professional relations which formed the whole program of this CD. So today I'm happy to share with you my heritage, and I hope it brings you on a wonderful journey of Hungarian and Transylvanian music for solo cello from Kodály until today.